Hey YouTube, today in this video I want to discuss a little bit about techniques that you don't really see too often when playing guitar. Now, pretty much all of these have been used. I'm going to describe three ones that aren't really talked about much on YouTube, and well, you don't hear them in that many records. But I just wanted to show you, just because, you know, there should be no secrets in guitar. So, yeah, I'll show you the first one. As you all know, you probably heard of harmonics and know a few of the taps or know how to pinch a nice little harmonic. But as you might also know, that there's harmonics like at the beginning of your scale, like right here. Yeah, and those sound pretty cool. But what a lot of people don't know is that you can hover your right hand along your neck bridge here and kind of get the same effect, and like what can produce really like a very nice 80s type of like I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah, I'll show you. Yeah, and you can pull on and off and it'll make it really, yeah, it'll just make that really cool sound. And the cool thing about that is you can just slide your pinky. You don't need like a slide, you don't need any type of pipe or anything that you need to slide down to get that effect. So that's one cool one. One thing, the next one I kind of want to describe is one, Van Halen actually did this a lot, and I'll see it a whole lot in other people's playing, and I think it's really cool. But really it's a combination of techniques that he does. And he'll combine bending his string with a hammer-on. And what you gotta realize is, if you're going to try to do this, that when you're bending up, it'll also change where you tap, because a lot of times you'll bend up 2 frets or 2 notes, and because you're bending up for 2, you got to go down 2 when you tap. So, for example, when I tap my middle E, like obviously I press those notes and it fits in with the key of A. But now if I'm going to bend up to the E, I have to go down. I gotta find it. See, it's the same sound, but it sounds a little bit more bendy, and it sounds really cool. So yeah. You hear that in a lot of Van Halen songs. I don't really do it too much, but yeah, you can just take your middle finger and tap on. He had his pick against his middle finger, so he tapped with his index finger. But you can do it with your middle finger just fine. What I like to do, I like to use my fingernail for a lot of tapping. And that can work out really well too. And that's really nice because you don't really have to pull off as much, because you know your fingernail is really hard. And yeah, it'll bring a more crisper sound. It'll sound a lot more natural, and you don't really have to worry about your finger getting too caught. And that can work really well. As far as doing it when you're bending, yeah, when you're bending, like these strings will kind of cramp together and it'll be harder to use your fingernail. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But yeah, so there's really one more I want to describe. Now, a double string bend, you do see it quite a lot, but you'll see it on a lot of lower notes, because it'll be easier to cram your fingers together, like so. And that's pretty easy when you're doing it pretty low. Now, when you're pretty high, like especially if you're using a Les Paul, you're not be able to cram use 2 fingers to do it. If you're going to do it higher on the Paul, I don't know if anybody else really did this. This is something I found when I was playing around. I think Zach Wild did it, might have done it a couple times. But if you're going to pinch both strings when you're going on a high fret, like what you're going to want to do is, what I did there is that I took my ring finger on my left hand and I put it on the top string, and what I did with my pick, I put it on the B string and I pinched it down so I could grab both with my ring finger in my left hand. So you gotta kind of hold it in place, and here, I gotta get up close to show you a little bit more. You're gonna go right, woo, I hit my ceiling. You're gonna go right there. It's hard to hold this right here, but you're going to essentially pinch it under just like that. So hopefully you can see that, but what it ends up sounding like is just this. And that can sound really cool if you just want to throw it in pretty much anywhere. But yeah. Oh, on top of that, actually I have one more I want to show you. This is one I learned from Phil X, and probably a lot of other people do it, is when you bend, but you assist bend yourself. So if you want to get a really ridiculous bend, you just bend with your one hand, and then you lift behind your other hand with, you lift behind with your other hand, with your right hand, and that can give you a really, really cool bend. And obviously, when you go high, like with a Les Paul, it's really hard to always get a good bend. So like, if you're going to bend this string, you kind of have to reach over with your left hand. And you can only really bend so far if you do that. So if you get assistance with your right hand, it can really, it can bring a real like squealy type of sound, I suppose, because it just goes super high and nobody's really expecting that. So, and of course, that's one thing you can do with both strings as well. And that can sound pretty totally awesome. So I'm hoping this video helps. If you got any other like awesome techniques that you don't think a lot of people have heard of. Obviously, a lot of you have heard of like your pull-offs and stuff, so I wasn't going to do a video about that. And there's tons of videos showing you all those minor techniques. But these are just some really like unorthodox ones out there. If you have any more, feel free to comment and show them. And I'll be hopefully back soon with more interesting videos. So, thanks.